focused on automation and on threat hunting.
That sounds like a fun game, threat hunting.
No, I didn't have the nuts to do that.
Quantum computing, basically to tell people that they shouldn't be as worried as...
You guys are so much fun. Do you do this only in the Netherlands, or do you go, okay, we don't actually notice what they're doing?
No, we don't even see it.
Yeah, I know.
And we are still at the security convention, and right now we have the keynote speaker sitting next to me, Wendy Nather. You are the lead of the advisories for the CISOs. Did I say that correctly?
Lead for advisory CISOs.
There you go. There you go. I'm super honored to have you here with me. Wendy, what did you talk about here at SECCON?
You know, I don't remember. It was a great conference. No, I talked about how the world has changed, and you know, all of a sudden, in a lot of different ways that have affected not only how we do security, not only the controls, but also the architecture has taken a big leap as a result of the pandemic and everything around it.
Absolutely. So we are going, as an example, from on-premises to cloud and running applications no longer in your own data center, but in a cloud environment. That's what you're referring to, or?
Yes, that too, but also the fact that it was everybody who went home. You know, remote work used to be for IT people, and you know, I remember sitting there with my pager and my modem and everything. But then all of a sudden, everybody had to go home.
Yeah.
You know, legal people, HR, everybody, and so you had to readjust your support model, and also you ran into supply chain problems where you just had to say, look, we don't have a laptop for you, just use whatever you have at home and we'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
There was a lot of we'll figure it out later, which now has its effects on our security environment.
Absolutely, yes. We'll fix it while you're using it.
We'll fix it in post. Yeah.
Yes. So I remember, by the way. So as you say, I've been in IT for 25 years, and I'm very used to work from home. I've been doing that almost from the beginning of my career. But right before the pandemic, I would say 3-4 years before that, 3-4 years ago, I would be working from home on a Wednesday. I would be sitting on the kitchen table doing my stuff, and then my son would come from school with a friend. And then at 5 o'clock, the parents of the friend would come and pick him up, and they open the door and they, hey, are you home? Are you off today? I'm like, no, I'm working. Oh, but you're home. And that is a conversation that now, after the pandemic, no one has to have anymore, because everyone is very used to be working from home. Absolutely.
That's right. That's right.
But as you say, it has a huge impact on security, right? Because we're opening up all those applications with corporate sensitive data to the users from home through the internet.
Right. And it has a big impact on the architecture. So, first of all, can you define SASE in a sentence? Let's see if you can do this.
That would be, I would be security at the edge of your network.
Yeah, but what's the edge? How's that different from the perimeter?
That's a good question. I would say where you enter the network, that would be the edge, and the perimeter would be on local premises location. Is that?
Well, okay. I'll save you some time. So the thing is, it's really hard for everybody to figure out how to define SASE. We've had arguments all over the place, but I think I have a really simple explanation.
Tell me.
So applications used to be in the data center, and users used to be in the building, and they would go through layers of network security to get to the applications, and that was all in one neat place. It was very nicely controlled. Then the applications went to the cloud, and the users all went home. So the only thing that is left in that poor data center is the network security controls. So you have what I call a sad trombone network, just wah, 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 where the user has to go all the way back to the data center, through those network security controls, all the way back to wherever their application is. And of course, that introduces latency. We can't have that.
Of course, yeah.
And what everybody said is, okay, let's just move those network security controls closer to where the users and the applications are now. So you've got to have points of presence all over the place. You don't know where your AWS really is, or you don't know where Salesforce is, you know, everything. So just that, re-architecting that is what SASE is all about, getting rid of the sad trombone.
This is by far the best explanation I've ever had.
See, and if anybody wants to
Really good.
fight me on that, I've talked with Gartner about this, and and they said, well, okay, I guess we'll take that.
I love it. I love it.
But that's really what it's about, and it's a big architecture change. Now, note that this is at the network layer, the network security stuff. So your CASB, secure web gateway, anything else that has to do with establishing and securing and monitoring the connection at the network layer is in the SASE. It's at the edge, where the edge can be any point of presence, that's not in your data center and it's not where the user is. But if you're starting to put in security controls at the application layer, that's a different proposition.
Yes.
And so SASE, that's why SASE is very network centric. And if you're thinking about where the application controls are going to go, of course they can go in where the third party is running its third party application, or in your own data center if you still have applications there, and so on. That's identity management and everything is a very different proposition. But SASE, that's what it is.
Very good explanation. I love it. So, what are other top of minds for CISOs today in 2022?
Oh, top of mind for a lot of the things are whatever the headline is.
Okay.
We've got supply chain attacks. Log4j got a lot of people upset, not because it was anything new, because the Log4j vulnerability had been disclosed at Black Hat years before. It's just that nobody had time to address it, and it wasn't considered a big threat because they had bigger threats to deal with. But then as soon as it was discovered and researchers started going after it, more attackers started leveraging it. It's like security has a really big spotlight that just comes and focuses on different things. And then you go, oh crap, I guess I better tighten that down. So it's part of it is whatever is in the news right now. Part of it, of course, is Ukraine and what all those disruptions are going to do to affect all of us. Because even if you think you're not vulnerable to a state-backed attacker, we are so interconnected and so dependent on one another in the ecosystem that any kind of disruption that might be taken could potentially affect supply chains for completely uninvolved companies. So that's a concern of theirs too. And then again, after everybody went home and they had to say, we'll just do what we can and figure it out later, now's the time to figure it out later. So they're trying to rebuild and thinking, okay, if we're going to build this permanently, because not everybody's going back to the office, what should our ideal architecture and security process look like so that it is the same for everybody? Which is, by the way, what Zero Trust is about. It's about let's check everybody the same way no matter where they're coming from. So those are the things that they're working on.
Really good, thank you. We were speaking earlier to Christopher van der Made, who is a product manager on SecureX. So a lot of what you're describing, I would say SecureX would be a good starting point for our customers to address those challenges. Is that a good summary?
Well, SecureX is mostly for detection and response. So if you want to get a look across your different systems, especially your third-party cloud, that's certainly some place where you're going to look to something like SecureX to address.
Love it.
Yeah.
And that in combination with SASE will give you the right solution to be ready.
Yeah, hopefully, addressing the problems that you think you have right now, but for some it's still far in the future. They have more basic fundamental things to worry about.
Of course. So Wendy, this YouTube channel started during the pandemic in my garage, in my basement in my house, and we always ask two questions to each of our guests. And the first question is, can you tell us about your home setup?
My home setup. Well, I married a very lovely and talented system administrator, so he really runs most of our infrastructure. At last count, we had about 32 IP-enabled devices in the house.
Wow.
But that's the last time I counted. There could be a lot more, especially since I'm away. He goes out and buys more things. So
That
I
sounds
don't
familiar.
Exactly. We have racks upstairs in the loft where all the heat rises. So, you know, we don't have to worry so much about, we all stay downstairs because it's too hot upstairs because of the racks. By the way, did you know that a 16-inch rack can fit into the back of a Volkswagen Passat? I found this out the hard way. We used to have little Raspberry Pis duct taped to the walls that were our firewalls. I don't know if we still have those anymore because they're in the loft and I haven't looked for a while. But that's our home setup.
Wow, I'd love to see some video of that. If
I'll
you
try
want
to get
share.
that. Yeah.
Love that. So last question, Wendy, and I'm pretty sure that you have a lot to share there. But can you tell us about one day in your career that you will never forget?
Oh boy.
You cannot say today because today was not.
It is very memorable. It is. The other problem is I'm old, so there are a lot of things I've forgotten. But, well, I've been a CISO in the public and private sectors, and I've been an industry analyst. And when you're an industry analyst, you get a lot of opportunities that not everybody gets to do. So, for example, I had dinner at Michael Dell's house.
Wow.
With him there, you know, with Michael Dell at his house. And it's one of those things where they ship in some analysts and, you know, he talks and you know, we're supposed to write up something nice. But
For me as a foodie now, I want to know, what did you have for dinner?
we had, well, I know we had organic vegetables from his garden.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
And they were in nice little jars with some yogurt or some kind of dip at the bottom. And then they had, you know, little baby carrots and everything, just so nice. And we had ice cream sodas for dessert. And his dog, I guess one of his dogs came out and we got to say hi to the dog. And so it was very surreal because I was sitting there on the lawn at this long table with a big view of Austin, Texas, and going, I can't believe this is my job.
Unbelievable. Oh, I can imagine that is one of your most memorable days.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Wendy. It was an honor and a pleasure to have you here with us.
Thank you for having me. This was great.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, see you next time.